Anthony, for your time, and a very warm good morning to you. We know that the maintenance is important in Johannesburg, but is it necessary to conduct it all at once?
Yes, good morning to you and the listeners. I don't think this is all at once. This is one task. It's one simple task. It's a tie-in to bring about redundancy. So it can't get as simple as this. You can't get it. That's what it is. But I think the issue is that our infrastructure is designed to create stability in society and for the economy. So socio-economic stability really rests on the foundation of all of our infrastructure. That's water, energy, transport, all of the other infrastructure. And this is what we need to understand. The fact that Rand Water is doing this must be lauded, as inconvenient as it might be. However, in light of the recent crisis we've had with cholera, we all know about that. It's been front page news. My only concern at this point in time is the use of water tankers, because water tankers are largely uncontrolled items and the contamination can occur in water tankers. So the only thing that I would recommend is that any person using water from a water tanker should at least take the registration number of the tanker down and just make a note of the time and date and place, and if possible the driver's name if they can get it. Simply that if they do fall ill later on, at least they've got a fallback. And certainly if tankers are being delivered to any cluster homes or any residential schemes, body corporates, etc., I strongly urge that a full paper trail be kept of all tanker deliveries to such places, because we know that secondary contamination generally occurs in tankers. And then, of course, I'd also urge people to just be extra vigilant and to boil the water that they're going to use for drinking and cooking purposes. However, the big crisis comes not with our drinking water side. The big crisis comes now in how do you flush your toilet after 48 hours or 52 hours, whatever. How do you flush the toilet? This is a crisis point, and this is what people need to think about, because you suddenly start getting a backup in the sewage system, and this can now result in other secondary problems.
Yeah, two very important concerns you're raising, and I think the first one, Anthony, with regards to water tankers, is one that could fly over, most people's heads in terms of how important it is to also take caution that there might be secondary contamination there. I want to delve into that in just a moment, in terms of you please taking us through how that contamination can take place where water tankers are concerned.
Yes, well, I know from the KZN experience and also from other parts of the country that the tankers are generally operated by syndicates, and they are basically contracted to the municipality, and they get paid per load that they deliver. So we know, for example, from KZN, where there might be 10 or even as many as 20 tankers waiting at one standpipe to be filled up. Now, the operators were typically owners of fleets. They don't like that. So what they do is they cut corners and they go down to the nearest river and they draw water from the river and they then go and deliver it as tankered water. So that's the problem. That's the problem. And we see that happening in different places. And I strongly suspect that that's one of the reasons why the cholera outbreak happened in Hammanskraal, for that very specific reason. So while we haven't got 100% proof of that yet, I have personally observed it with my own eyes in KZN. So we must make an assumption that this is the case until such time as we can prove that it's not the case. So my advice particularly to body corporates, where they are obliged now to buy in water, tankered water into their systems, just put a simple system in place where you take the registration number and the time and date of delivery. And in fact, as far as I'm concerned, when you take delivery like that, you should, in fact, even ask the driver if the water is SANS 241 compliant. And in fact, the driver probably won't be able to tell you that it is. But I think we should start insisting that whenever tankers are used for this purpose, that they are provided by the municipality with a certification to state that they are SANS 241 compliant. And because there's legal implications that go around this matter, should someone fall ill and heaven forbid, should they have to go to hospital and receive emergency treatment.
Absolutely. And you know, quite important information. Hence, I said before that I think it's important. Oftentimes, the assumption is if it's a water tanker, then the water is generally safe. But you're saying we have to take extra caution, Anthony. I think that's important to note as well. We've also gotten, you know, sort of assurance that schools, your hospitals, your clinics will not be affected at this time. Are you confident that they will continue receiving their water? And I mean, what's the concern then? Should that water then be interrupted in points such as these?
Well, to be honest, I don't understand how that is technically possible because it's all on one network. That's the problem with the water system. A water system has got one network. You don't have a discrete system, for example, for a hospital. It's not on a separate system. So everything in that system is going to go down. The only way that the hospital or the school or whatever it is could insulate itself or buffer itself against the shock is to have on-site storage. And I've been talking about on-site storage for the last 10 years, and mostly people don't want to listen to what I'm saying because it costs money. But now we know the value of on-site storage. And I know I work in the body corporate sector, and I know that clients that I've worked with in that space, those that have actually bitten the bullet and have now got on-site storage, they are quite capable of withstanding these shocks to the system. This is our new normal. We need to start getting used to this new normal. And as ugly and unpleasant as it is, those people that have made the investment into tanks and into possibly a borehole or an alternative supply of water, for example, a JoJo tank catching rainwater, at least you've got something to flush your toilet with and to at least take a bath with if you have to. So these are the important things. Drinking water is important, but it's a relatively small volume of water. We need one liter of water per person per day for drinking purposes. That's a relatively simple matter to supply. The difficult stuff is the water that needed for personal hygiene, right. And there we need about 150 to 200 liters per person per day, and that's now more difficult to supply this way.